if you want to lose weight, you need to be consistent. Whatever, it's not just losing weight. It's not just how much cycling I need to do to lose weight. What you need to do is to ride frequently enough in the right zones to make sure that you trigger the metabolic activity that will burn the fats that you've been storing. So if you keep thinking in terms of you've been doing zero exercise, you gain weight. Start by picking up maybe 2 to 3 days a week and start exercising and push it up to say 5 days a week. Just the increase in that activity, keeping your calories constant, you will lose weight because you have started doing more. Don't fast. Don't fast while you're on the bike. That's just a bad idea. Don't mess with your metabolism. That's what fasting does. I've had people come on the channel and put comments about, oh, I was fasting on this ride. Why? You don't drive your car with no gas in the tank. You need to eat consistently so that your metabolism can go up, so you can burn calories, okay? So this is just a short video to just let everybody know that there is no magic amount of hours that you need to ride to lose weight because everybody's different. What you do need to do, whatever it is you're doing, is you need to be consistent. And when you're consistent and you see that, okay, I'm losing some weight, if you want to lose more, then you have to invest more time. There are no shortcuts. You need to put the time into it. Whether you're trying to lose weight, getting in shape for a race, getting ready for a Grand Fondo, there are no shortcuts. The top riders invest time to meet their goals. You can't do it any other way. I've coached people that say, oh, I don't have a whole lot of time. I'm working a lot of hours, but I want to bring my blood pressure down. Well, you can't have it both ways. You need to invest time in yourself, in your health. That's important. There's no other way to do it. So if you want to continue to make progress and you're not happy with where you are, put more time into it and focus on the quality of what you're doing and making sure that those workouts are going to help you to meet your goal. So if you're on the fence about what workouts to do or whatever, I'll put a link here so that you can use that, look at some of our plans, and we can help you pick the workouts that you need depending on your goals. So I wanted to just make this video real quickly. It's Friday here. We're getting ready for the weekend. So get out there, get your K's in. Hello, legends and super legends. Welcome to Veloharmony Live. It's Friday. Thank goodness gracious, it's Friday. Another lovely day we're having down here in southeastern Texas. We didn't have any rain in our area today, so I got to do yard work, so that was kind of cool to catch up. But it's good to see you all here today. We're going to just be talking cycling. Anything goes, any topic goes. The tour's over. The domination of Pogacar was confirmed, and maybe he's a new rider for the new era for his generation because he put a lot of distance between himself and the rest of the field. That was good to see. I followed that closer than I usually do, so it was very enjoyable. It was not disappointing. So let's see. I released a video earlier today. I got a short from Suki Sports. They created a new short with a lighter pad, and I decided to just do a comparison with the entry-level bib because the short with the lighter pad costs about twice as much as the entry-level one, and it's gonna up the game. So I just focus on the differences, the things I liked, and different things. I mean, the pad is thinner because some riders like kind of a minimalist pad. And so it was good that they added that to their collection. The other one was not very bulky, but just a little thicker. So when I did the comparison, I focused more on what I saw up front, like the leg length. I like longer leg length in the shorts, and they added about another 5 centimeters, 2.5 inches, which is pretty generous. So the shorts fit really well. I had used it on a group ride, which I think Paul filmed me, and so I put a little clip in that review and comparison video to kind of show. But I hope that they continue to make these little changes, because it was nice to see the subtle differences that they put in the two shorts. So the entry level short is not a dog or anything, but if your budget is, on the low side, you have that option. If you want to splurge a little bit, you've got the other short. And I thought that was a nice change, because both of them are very rideable. It's just a matter of the other one being a little more luxurious. Even the Lycra felt different, So just those little differences, gives us more choices, out there. That was kind of what I noticed. So getting ready for the group ride tomorrow. I've already lubed my chain because I rode 3 days this week. And after the weekend, I lubed my chain. And so I went ahead and switched the wheels already. You want to kind of make sure you get stuff on there so you're ready for your ride, so there are no surprises per se. And then later on tonight, I will pick out the kit that I'm going to wear. It's hot, so I'm just using the lighter stuff. Let's see here. Who do we have? Natsim, have you tried X-Bionic bibs? No, I have not. I'm sure there are all kinds of bibs out there. I've got a lot of bibs, so I don't just try things anymore unless they send them into the channel or I have a specific reason. Yeah, I've got like a whole half of a closet full of bibs. And so it's like I have Castelli, Ecce Undo, Rafa, Asos. And now I've got like two of the Suki copies. Somebody recommended Paranormal on the last live session. We looked at some of their jerseys. Look pretty nice. I'm going to be doing a comparison between the Suki jerseys and some of the other jerseys in their price range, like the Rafa lightweight classic jersey, flyweight classic. I'll do a comparison there. Some of the other ones, but no, I haven't tried X-Bionic. Let's see what it looked like. Let me switch to a sharing screen here. Let's see here. I've never heard or seen a. So let's check it out. Let's see what we got. X-Bionic. Oh, they make shoes too, it looks like. X-Bionic Shark. X-Bionic. Did I? Oh, I put an E up there. Cycling shorts. And they make jerseys. Okay, let's check out their site. X-Bionic International, xbionic.com. Merino wool. All right, let's see. Men, cycling. Okay, not bad. $272 for this one. Let's see what Effector 4.0. This is about the same price range as the Rafa Pro Team. That's a bit crazy looking. I like my stuff a little more simple than that. Let's see what choices they have in colors. Let's see. Okay, this is the Opal Black, Effector Green. I'm looking for the write-up. Let's see here. Technologies, details. Achieve superior performance. Bib tights, padded. I'm trying to see if they're talking about anatomically ship, endurance, bike pad, optimum seating. Yeah, so it's kind of it looks like a premium short. The colorways here in this one, it's not something I would want to wear. So I don't know what other choices they have. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Black and black. Let's see what awards they're talking about. They got awards, Red Dot Award, Innovative high-performance garment that sets new standards. Thermal regulation and wearing comfort. Looks interesting. They've got a little extra pouch down here, and then they've got little slits. Let's see if we've got any other pictures. Let's see. This is the back. Hey, J. West, boy, welcome. Yeah, I mean, the aesthetic doesn't do anything for me. I like my stuff a little simpler than their styling. So I'm not sure what's going on with the short, but it looks like it's obviously it's a premium short. They've got Arctic white, opal black, and Arctic white. That's what that's called. The leg looks a little shorter than I like, but it's hard to tell from a picture. Let's see this sizing chart. I mean, you know, for 272, I mean, it better be really, really special because that's like pro team level stuff. And so I would be looking at the inseam. Let's see, I see waist here. I don't see inseam. I'll be looking at the inseam because I'm real particular. I like longer shorts. I don't like the short to be too short. So let's see. Cinemas Ottoman bottom. Yeah, I don't like their styling that much to spend $2 plus on it. Let's see some of their jerseys. You know, bottom, cycling, jackets, tops. So they seem to carry basically everything for sporting. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. Hi, Larry. Welcome, Dwayne. Robert Tangler is here. Hello, Robert. Hey, Robert. That day when you came by on the Flint Ridge, I didn't recognize you until you drove past. I recognized your vehicle, and then I knew it was you because I remember that day when you met us here in the neighborhood. I remember when you were driving. I told Paul about it, but I didn't recognize you. I just said, hey, man. And then when you drove, oh, that's Robert, you know. So I was working. I was trying to get a little effort in before the end of the ride. It was a short, hard ride. But that was cool to see you out there. Yeah, Robert, I was riding sometime last week, and Robert came by in his vehicle. And I didn't recognize him until he passed by. Then I saw the back of it because he's got it fitted with like a little lift on the back. And I said, that's got to be Robert. All right, let's see here. Yeah, somebody talked about attendance. Let's see, because it's Friday. I don't know. We're talking cycling. I don't worry too much about the quantity. I focus on the quality. The people who want to be here are here. That's the way I look at it. But yeah, you're right. Maybe people going out to dinner and whatever. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Yeah, Larry, I have the 1606, and I have I just got, I believe, the 1601 bib shorts. I just did a review today. I released the video this morning comparing the two somewhat. They're different price points. One is like in the $40 range, and one is about $100. The 101, I believe, and the 1601. It has a lighter pad and longer leg. So I talked about what I liked about it and so forth, and the fact that the 1606 is still a nice bib. But I just showed the differences because some riders prefer a thinner pad and so forth. So it was good to know because I've ridden the 1606 on a long ride, like 6 hours. The first time we took it out, our usual long ride, and it was very comfortable. So I had no problems with it. The 1601 is just a little different. It's one solid piece of Lycra. The 1606 has different kinds of Lycra built in with ventilation. So just the styling, and then the leg length. So it's good that they're out there. I'm glad that I found them. I'm actually trying to see if they will produce some stuff in our team colors down the road because they say they do custom. And so I want to see what the design process is, because I like our old classic jersey, but I'd much rather get it from these guys so their price points is better because they may be able to move more. But you never know. But I've gotten more stuff from them since I tried the jerseys. Now I got like 4 or 5 copies of the jerseys and 2 copies of the shorts. I find me reaching for them more, especially now that it's hot. So yeah, that's really good to know. I'm glad that it's working for you. Cisco, welcome. Cisco wants to know, what's the difference in conditioning with a cyclist who rides flatland and a cyclist who rides 2,000 feet of climbing if each ride was around 30 miles? It's not where you ride, it's how hard you ride that matters, because it's your engine. So if you're riding on a flatland, if you want to push harder, you will use a larger gear. If you're climbing, but you're talking about, let's say 2,000 feet. So we're talking about altitude somewhat. And, if you're not used to altitude, you'll be working harder. But, it's the effort and how you stress your motor, your engine. That's what matters. You got to make the best of what you have and not worry so much about if somebody lives in a hilly area and you live in a flat area and you're going to do an event that's hilly and you can't logistically get to a hilly area to train. You can train in a flat area by using either the wind or resistance and heavier gears and prepare yourself for it. Some of the best climbers came from the Netherlands. Back in the day, Ralph Sorensen and all those guys. Now, granted, they periodically travel to certain places to train, but you can't focus on that. Focus on the effort. So you focus on what zone you're going to be climbing in and you stay in that zone. That's why you got to know your zones and know what your plan is for each ride. So, it's hard to say between 2 riders how training affects their fitness, because genetically everybody's different. They have different talents. Recuperation is different. There's so many variables. So it's hard. Nobody can tell you. Even if they were to train together on that same climb, one person might be stronger than the other because everybody's different. You just want to make the most of what you have. All right, let's see. KJL, welcome. Larry Graham. Oh, yeah, Larry, I'm glad you used that discount code. I had thought all along it was more, but it was 10%, and I got them to increase it to 15%. What I like about it is there's no limit on, some places will say 15% up to a certain amount or whatever. So it's unlimited use, and there's no limit. So it's always there. I kind of like that. So, she did that basically because after I did that one video, I told her, I said, well, if I'm going to do a video for you and put it on the channel, I've got to give the guys a reason to buy your stuff, even though it's nice. I can't just put it there and then say, buy it at retail. And so she said, well, so she gave me that first code, which was 10%. And I think 2 weeks ago, she increased it to 15. So it's good. So I'm always chatting with her about email. They're in China, so it's on like 10 o'clock at night. They're at work. And so late at night, she's sending email messages. That's when we can communicate. But she's pretty easy to work with. She's very accommodating. They also sell cycling shorts. They sent me one. They have like an Amazon store, but the code doesn't work there because I'm not dealing with the Amazon group. They have an Amazon group that sell their base level stuff. But then I also noticed that they have cycling shorts on their regular site. So I sent her an email to find out who are these guys contacting me when I'm already working with you? Some other guy named Frank contacted me. Can you do a review and whatever? And I don't just do reviews for anything. And I told him, well, I'd like to see the short. He didn't send me a link. He just shipped the short, but it ended up being like underwear with pads in it that you can wear under regular short. Like some mountain bikers like to just wear, cargo pants and have pads in there. That's what he sent. It's like underwear with pads in it. So it's sitting in the shop, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. And then he said, when you do the video, put it here. I don't like to just do videos for stuff. I kind of like to see, how would I use this? And I guess if you're commuting or something like that. So I'm still trying to find out more about the product because it's built well, but I'm thinking, okay, if I wear this under a pair of jeans, is it going to shift? Am I going to have problems with the seams or whatever? You guys know they have some mountain bike cargo pants that have the pads built in with Velcro or whatever. This is different. This is like an underwear, like briefs. and they're like, how do you call it? Like boxer briefs, very short legs that you just wear, and then you put on pants over, but they have pads in it. So, okay, that's a neat idea. So I'll have to come up with some theme, but it looks like something that could be used, but I don't know. Let's see here. Larry Graham said, you mentioned bandana and how to wear it. Looking forward. Yes, I saw your bib show comparison. Yeah, the bandana I wear, I buy the kind, they have them. I have them on my website, the recommended cycling products. If you just search on the headwear, you'll see them. I like to wear the ones that are small and they breathe, but you got to be careful because some of that sizing, you don't want it creeping up under your helmet when you put it on. I like it about here so you can catch perspiration. And so it's really particular that you get the ones that are designed to fit all size. They say one size fits all, but some of them are kind of small. You want to read the reviews. So I'll put some links on my website in recommended cycling for the ones that work, because some of them I had to send back because it was so small. I bought a batch and it was so small, it kept creeping up on me. And then my daughter said, I'll use it. So I gave it to my little daughter. That's the only one I kept because I was going to send it back. You want something that's breathable. And then they come with a little tie. They have like a tail that drops. It's sewn that way to where you just tie the sides together and you have that little tail that kind of covers your neck. I really like that when it's hot. Keeps the sun off your neck, and it's very breathable. That's what you want out of Cool Max material or some other material like that. You want it very breathable. You need something like that to keep the sweat out of your eyes. That's the main reason. A lot of riders, even there's a guy named Mo that rides with WCC, he always has head covering on. Something is always wrapped around his head under that helmet. That's to keep the sweat out of your eyes when you ride and it's very humid. It really makes a difference. So I don't ride without anything on my head anymore. Even if I use my lightweight cycling caps that you've seen in the recent videos, I got them a while back from Rafa. They're made out of polyester and elastane. They're very breathable. I don't use the cotton caps this time of year because they don't breathe as well. But, in the fall and winter, I slip those on. So I always have something there to at least keep the sweat and then that sun off my head. That's another thing. So, that's kind of cool. Let's see. KJL Rune said fly Wittish. I'm not sure what that was about. I wasn't following that. Hello, fly Wittish. Larry says he was out for 5 hours on the 1606. Yeah, it's good shorts. Good shorts. We used them. They sent us 2 copies. So Paul got a copy. I got one. And so it was kind of good to test it out. Robert said, that's why I didn't have to try to have a long, you wouldn't be able to talk to me because I was working too hard. I looked over, I was like, I was moving up that little climb. I like Flint Ridge because in either direction, you're going up and down. And, and the lanes are very wide and it's generous. They had them closed like a couple of weeks or so ago. They were repairing parts of it, but we could still get through. So we continued to use it, on the bike. And they just opened it. So it's always nice. Doesn't matter what time of day. That's a good little area close to home. So I use that. I'll go across and go to Tangle Bush and then cut down, maybe use Glenlock, get back in that neighborhood back there. They got some little 4 to 7% bumps, do some repeats on them. So you don't have to go very far to get your workout in, It's kind of interesting. Yeah. Yeah, Cisco is saying with heart rate and power meter, got it. Yeah, Cisco, regardless of what you're using, a lot of times when I train, I display power on the channel is really just for you guys. When I'm riding, periodically I may glance at power because I have it next to cadence on the head unit. But most of the time I will only look at, let's say, heart rate or something if, let's say, all of a sudden my breathing just changes. And then I'm like, okay, what's going on? Where am I? It's really for reference. Okay, what heart rate did I hit right now under this effort that's changing my breathing and making me uncomfortable? Or what heart rate am I at that I've got a gap or I'm closing a gap and it feels good. What heart rate am I putting down? You use those for references so that you can know when you're going well or when you're not going well. That's what it's about. So throughout the ride, you don't need to be looking at those things. You just want to glance when something happens that make you want to make a mental note of it. Like, for example, you go up a climb really hard and you don't get out of breath. Well, you want to kind of look at what heart rate zone you were in that you're tolerating so well. And then you put that in the database, because then if on another ride you do the same thing in that same zone and everything's out of whack, then you know you're out of tired, out of shape, whatever. That's what that is about. And so a lot of my analysis really occurs after I get back off the bike. I load up my data in Golden Cheetah, and I can go in and look and compare the different zones. I just look at, okay, this week I did this much. How much time did I spend in this zone versus that zone, depending on the time of the year? Did I meet my goal for the ride? Did I spend enough time in zone 4? Or did I spend enough time in zone 2? That kind of stuff. That's what I use it for, to see the quality of that ride. Like Larry said, he rode 5 hours. If Larry's goal was to spend most of that ride in zone 2, and then he gets back and he sees that, okay, I went out there, I was doing 5 hours, but then I hooked up with a group and I ended up spending an hour in zone 4. So then the next day he will know if he's tired the next day, let's say he has another ride and he's tired, then he will know, okay, I did too much yesterday. So then you won't feel bad to let the group go on that day, because you will say, I rode harder than I planned yesterday. That's why I'm not going so well today. That's what you want to use those things for, so you can understand how your performance ties into what you're doing. Because when you understand it, you don't wonder. Because when you get dropped, or if you drop somebody and you don't know why you were doing that, how do you replicate that? That's the thing. That's why I always say we train, we don't ride. That's what it's about. You got to know why you're able to do certain things at a certain time. I mean, the same effort we did last week, where I was sitting in with the group and going with all the moves, that same effort a few weeks back, I had to let the group go. I felt like my thermostat was ready to blow. I mean, I was hot. But I knew it shouldn't feel this hard for where we are and the effort we're doing. That's what it's about. Because when you understand that, then you know, okay, I've got a big ride tomorrow. I don't care who passes me when I'm out spinning and checking my equipment for the ride tomorrow. So you don't go waste your time chasing somebody when you got a big ride the next day. You do a few little accelerations to kind of check yourself, but that's it. That's what it's about. You got to know when to go hard. That's when it matters. That way you don't ride hard on Friday, and then Saturday when the big ride is there, then you go out there and you're struggling. All your grand fondo, you got to save it for your important rides. So let's see here. Dwayne says, I purchased a pair of bibs from a company named Bayleaf in gray color. I was so impressed, I bought the second set in navy blue. The bib has side panel for storage. Yeah, the cargo pants. I don't like carrying stuff on my legs. Rafa even making some of those with pockets on the legs. I guess it's okay, if you're, into that. My wife, her shorts, she has that. She puts her phone in there. But yeah, I think they can be neat if they're tight enough. I guess I would put a gel in there or something. But yeah, let's see here. Yeah, it's there's so many choices out there. So what you want to focus on is find the styling that you prefer and what works for you. What I spent a lot of time introducing Rafa. I did some stuff on ASOS and whatever. So when Suki Sports contacted me and started sending stuff, and it was so nice, I was like, this is a nice change, so that the shorts that Larry's talking about, it's like a $42 price point. I mean, I don't know what it comes out to. You get the 15% discount. But those are nice shorts for that price. And someone had asked recently, I think a couple of days ago, on the channel in the comments about how it was holding out, because I had done the original review a while back when it came in, and the person wanted to know how it's holding out. Would I buy the 1606 over a premium bib short? And so I said, they're holding out well. They're great for their price point, but no, I wouldn't buy them over a premium short. That's kind of like asking me, would you buy a Corolla over a Ferrari? If I could afford both, they're different. So that was not a fair question. And I just took the time and still answered it and just told him, no, they're not premium shorts. For their price point, they're fine. They do a great job. But I wouldn't buy them over a premium short, you know? So yeah, everything has its place. You can't just have, all your shorts should not be expensive. The shorts you train on day to day should cost less. And then you save it's like your Sunday suit. Save your nicest shorts for your nicer events, for your grand fundals, your group rides, your races, whatever you're into. That's the way you want to do it. Otherwise, it just, you can't be spending $300 per short. It adds up. So you get four $40 shorts. I mean, they'll go a long way. And you use the money for something else. That's the way to look at it. So I took the time to answer him because I understood what he was driving at, but I clarified. You can't mix apple and oranges. You can't be comparing things that are in different groups. That's not practical. You're not going to get what you get out of a very luxurious product out of an inexpensive one. There's a reason the price is higher. There are things in there, materials of a different quality and so forth. And so if you want to experience that, you save up and then you get one of those. And then you get the regular stuff like your work shorts or whatever for all your training rides and stuff. So it's kind of, so I use all of them. The ironic thing is the short I reach for the most is one of the least expensive shorts I've ever owned. They're made by Echio Undo. I don't even know how to find another copy. I got them from someplace a long time ago called Prenda Ciclismo. And it's just a regular looking short with white on the bottom made by Echio Undo. Just ultra comfortable. One of those you put on is like, it just disappears. Padding is great, but it's one of those that after your ride, you got to go wash it because it does not resist odor. I don't know if it's just the material they use. It's not like the modern stuff that has a lot of, anti-odor or whatever. So yeah, once you sweat in that bad boy, you can't store it. You need to go wash it. So everybody's got a favorite short. And so what I'm planning on doing is I did a review a while back where I put all the bib shorts I had from ASOS, whatever else, and I went through and did a full review. And what I want to do is do another one, like an updated comparison, but not so much a comparison on, let's say, the 1606 versus Pro Team. No, what I want to do is do a budget short comparison, then an intermediate, and then a premium, and talk about the pros and cons of having those. Because I think that everybody should have a little bit, and if you can sample, you don't need a lot of premium shorts. You wait till maybe one of those are on sale, and you get one, so you can experience it. It's kind of like, going on a cruise. You don't go every week. You treat yourself. So that's the way you want to look at it. But I want to talk about what's in the premium shorts versus the other ones, and why I think they price them like they do and whatever, just so people know. I think it would be very educational. It will be an interesting video. So let's see here. Yeah, Dwayne says, that's like taking a Porsche for a family road trip that'll be fast but uncomfortable when you have a gas-saving economy car. Both are good and fit certain purposes. Yeah, the Porsche is not designed for... it's different. The Porsche is a sports car per se, but it's not for ultra long driving, where you need a lot of space and people can spread out and whatever. So if you got an SUV, you would use it for that purpose. Yeah, everything has a purpose. So yeah, it's not practical to try and do those kind of comparisons. It serves no purpose because I think people need to know that if you only have $100, then buy what falls in that range and make the most out of that $100. Don't worry about the $300 short. Buy the best $100 short that you can afford. Oh, you know, that's all that matters. And then if circumstances change or you save up, you miss a couple of nights at the club or whatever, and you take that money and say, okay, I'm going to treat myself because I've raised $300. Then you go and investigate the $300 shorts and see which one you want to spend your money on. But there's no point in saying I got a $40 bib and it's just as good as the $300 short. You're kidding yourself. They're just not the same. They're not bad. It's not a bad short, but you're not going to have all the little nice things. You know, if you go to the mall to get your nails done, it's not the same as going to a spa to get your nails done. The ambiance, you got to pay for that. You guys know what I mean. Okay, let's see here. Andre joined us. Andre says, awesome channel. I live in Manila. Welcome to Philippines. And it's often seriously hot. No kidding. It's hot here too. We got your same weather. It's hot and humid here. Like we're in the jungle here. Because we've had a lot of rain the last couple of weeks. So it's just, you know, you walk outside, you start perspiring. This can make the climbs really challenging. Is there a way to bring your heart rate under control, under load when very hot? Yeah, slow down. I'm laughing because that's like a red herring. The reason your heart rate is spiking is the same thing I was talking about where I had to let those guys go 3 weeks ago. We're doing the same effort. And I was like 160 something. It felt like 180 something. What he's saying is it's hot and he's on the climbs and it's getting the heart rate under control. What does that mean? The heart rate spiking to where his breathing is changing. The body's having to work harder to get fluids to you. What it tells me is pour some water on you, drop the pace, drink. You might be a little dehydrated, you know, or you may not just be used to riding at that effort in the heat. So you can enjoy that climb by slowing it down, using lower ratios. You may have to let your riding partners go. Maybe they're just used to it now. You need to slow, your engine's overheating. The only way to get your heart rate under control is to slow down and drink lots of water, pour water on you, pour it on your neck, on your head, whatever makes you feel better to bring your core temperature down. Because your heart rate's spiking because it's trying to get more fluids to your muscles. Your body is demanding more fluids. And what that could mean is that you may be dehydrated or overexerting yourself. So you need to slow down. From a health standpoint, yes, slow way down. Slow down to where you feel comfortable and you feel like, okay, I can keep this pace. And you can maybe catch up on the descent or whatever. But that's what it is. Until you get used to being out there under that load, with that effort you guys were doing, you got to back off. I had to do the same thing. I had to let the group go. You know, I just didn't feel right. My engine was overheating. It's the same thing you're talking about. So you know better than anybody how you feel. So you don't ignore that. You slow down, drink. I carry, I told you guys about Clean Canteen. I started carrying the small one with ice in it and with water. And it'll keep it, the ice will last hours. I will drink the water, stop at a park, pour water on the ice, and still have ice in there. All of those little things make a difference. And then once you acclimate, now I'm used to the weather, but I still continue to take because it's very refreshing having very cold water 2.5 hours, 3 hours into a ride. Very refreshing. And then when we stop at the store, we load up with more ice. Use a thermal bottle. Don't use a regular bottle. It's not going to help you. Use a thermal bottle. That's important. So it can last at least 2 hours. You have cold water. Instead of the regular bottles within 30 minutes, that sucker is already tepid. So yeah, don't ignore that. It's important. Slow down. All right, let's see here. Drink an ice. No, you don't want to drink an ice cold beer while you're on the bike. Beer dehydrates you. You can drink beer after the ride, but you got to go easy. And it's funny you said that, but be careful if you ride a lot in the heat. And then afterwards, if you drink a lot of beer, you can dehydrate yourself because beer is a diuretic. That's why it makes you pee a lot. You will get rid of the water in your body. You can have a beer, but don't go crazy. You still need to keep your fluids down for the next ride. Welcome, Chris. We got a new subscriber to the channel, Chris Hamilton. So no, I don't drink beer right after my rides. When I get back, the first couple of hours, I do fluids and I do solid food. And maybe later in the evening, I may have a beer if I'm in the mood, but I don't go crazy with that. And then after that, I make sure I continue to drink because you need to hydrate on and off the bike. You can't be behind. If your urine is yellow, you're behind. It needs to be clear. If it's not clear, you're behind. You need to drink more. I carry one of these cups my wife bought me. I think I showed it on the channel a while back. She stenciled a cyclist on it, and I put ice in there with water with the little straw, and I always have that, and it keeps the water cold for a long time. So, you know. So Colin says, Andre, you're welcome, man. No problem. Just I took the time to do that because I'm very serious about listening to yourself. This is not about ego. Do not hang with a group and you feel bad because several reasons. Besides the extreme thing of heat stroke or whatever, even before you get to that point, if you overreach, you can crash. Because if you're beyond your limit and you're not seeing well or whatever, you can hit a wheel or whatever. So always ride under control. You will get there. As you train more and more, you will get there to where you can ride faster, comfortably. You should always be under control. Not just your heart rate, yourself should be under control. You should be able to see potholes and whatever else. If you can't, because all you focus on is trying to hang onto that wheel, let them go. There will be another day and another ride. All right. Colin says, just coming off 2 months of inactivity due to COVID lockdowns. Been there, buddy. What advice would you give me to quickly get back to where I was before? There is no shortcut. What do you mean quickly? You don't want to do it quickly anyway. It hurts. I think I know what you mean. Efficiently. You just go back to base training. Don't worry about where you were before right now. 2 months is really not a long time. You want to start conditioning yourself again. So you want to start, if you already have your zones, you want to start training in your base training zone. Build up your endurance. Just consistent. Get back to doing it consistently. Now, even though you were locked down, I'm going to think maybe you did some trainer work or whatever. But if you did nothing, then yes, start slowly. You've got to build back up. If you want to get there quickly, when I was off for 7 months and when I came back, I started doing 2-a-days. I'd ride in the morning, do everything during all my running around, then ride in the evening. Short rides, hour and a half. I did 2-a-days, got me there in half the time. That's another way you can do that. But the key is to do whatever you're doing consistently and do not try to start sprinting and all this stuff because it means nothing if you have no base. You won't be fast anyway. So focus on endurance and you will get there. All right. I assume you have a training plan, so I'm not going to go into that, but follow your plan and just so you do more and you will get there quickly, but pay attention to your recovery because training is just one part. You need to make sure you're getting enough recovery between your workouts. If you're tired, then you back off. You can still work out, but don't go hard that day when you're tired. Let your body continue to rest during that activity. You can even do zone 1 just to burn fat calories. So Jay West, what is your final thoughts on Spotty jerseys? I love them for the money. Yeah, I did a review a long time ago. They sent a couple of copies, and in fact, I bought every color they had. I still have them, you know. They're very good. They're great for this time of year because they're very breathable. Paul has them too. Both of them have. They're good jerseys. Yeah, so yeah. I even bought the long sleeve. They have a long sleeve one. Not the warmest jersey, but, you know, the fabric is very breathable. Yeah, they're perfect for here. For here. I like them because you can use them pretty much all year because when it gets colder, you just put some under them. Yeah, whatever that fabric that they use, man, it's very breathable. Let's see here. Proctor. He says, I'm getting into the A group on my group rides and I'm training to get up to and maintain those speeds. Well, don't train to speeds. So let's keep moving. Folks keep talking about getting a power meter to train. Is that needed? No, it's not needed. It's a nice to have. So let's see. I only display power for these guys on the channel because let's see. I started with the power pod. I still have that, and then I've got like those Garmin rally pedals now on one bike, just to display on there for the guys here. But I don't train with power. When I go out to ride my bike, I don't want to feel like I'm in a lab. And you don't want to train to speed. Let me see if I can find this video. I have a video that I did that talked about, let's see. It talked about training by the RPE. It was a long time ago. I trained to feel, and then I use heart rate. I like heart rate because I want to know what's going on with my body. You know, is my body behaving well? Am I overheating? You know, like we've been talking about, whatever. Power just says you're putting out 100 watts. It doesn't tell you that you're about ready to suffer heat stroke. And so you need to pay attention to how you feel, number one, before you do anything else. Well, you know, and you don't want to train the speed because 25, 26 miles an hour, that's going to change based on the terrain, the wind, whatever is going on. So it doesn't matter what speed. The speed that you see at that moment is only for that moment. Because the next time in that same spot, if you're going into a headwind, it might be 15 miles an hour at the same effort. So train to effort. You should have training zones, and you should at least have a heart rate monitor. That's what I would recommend. And the belt will pair with anything. They're like $30 or something. You can get, I don't know what kind of head unit you have. If you have a head unit, a cycling head unit, a lot of them will pair to the comparable belt for them. And you can just buy the belt. A very little expense for a training tool. Then you do a threshold test, get your zones, and you train to that. That's at least what you should have, because it takes a while to develop training to feel what we call the rate of perceived exertion, RPE. I train to feel because I can tell if I'm going 50%, 75% or not. I can tell. So it's like I know that when I'm doing 5 out of 5, I can't go any faster. So it doesn't really matter what speed is displaying. If I can't go any faster, it doesn't matter if it's 13 miles an hour. I'm going as fast as I can go. You know, if you know you got something left and you can give a little more, you'll know. So, you know if you're just kind of cruising. So conversational pace, that's usually endurance or whatever. So there's a lot involved. That's why I want to find this video, because I don't think you've seen it. Let's see. I think I called it power meter. Do we need a power meter or something like that? Let's see here. Training with power. Reasons for using a... There we go. All right, power meter versus RPE. This is it. Let me give you the link. Let me copy that just a moment. Let's see, go to that and go back. I'm gonna put the link. Let's see if it'll let me type here. I think, let me see here. I don't usually type on this thing when I'm doing these, but I think there's a window I can open. Nope, not that. I don't want that. Let's see. Go to the YouTube dashboard. No, not that. Yep, maybe that'll work. It's changing though. I'm trying to find where I can, yeah, there we go. I'll be able to do it here, just temporarily. I'm gonna do there. Okay, here we go. That's a link there. That's a link to the video. Okay, let's go back here. That should help. I think, there we go. That video will tell you about, let's see here. I think it was the one with the power meter, cycling gear. Let's go back here. Here we go. Yeah, power meter versus heart rate versus RPE. Check out that video. I think it will help you understand what I've been talking about. But never train to speed. That's a red herring. That is a exercise in futility. You're welcome. The exercise, you cannot, anybody you hear talking about training to speed, they don't know. Nobody trains to speed that's in the know. Because even on your street, let's say you got a little course right in your neighborhood that you train to. You got one thing in your neighborhood that you train to, and every day you come down, if the wind changes, it will be different. If the wind's behind you, it's going to be different. So don't train to that. All right. Let's see here. Keep getting people calling me. Let me turn this thing into do not disturb. All right. There we go. Okay. Let's see, a Proctor. He said, yeah, heat stroke. Red Dragon, who will win the Olympic road race. I have no idea. That's like a one-day thing. I'm going to be watching it too. You're welcome, Proctor Dwayne. Let's see. Red Dragon said he voted for Van Aert. It's really hard to say. It depends on who's there. From what I saw at the tour, every stage we had different things going on. So if you consider the Olympic is just a one-day event, anything can happen. Anybody can win. The circumstances notwithstanding. So yeah. So that's the whole reason we watch. It's hard to predict. Yeah, Van Aert did well in the last TT, and then of course he won on the Champs-Élysées. So, but it's different strokes. When you go to the Olympic, that's different. So we'll see. Should be interesting. Should be interesting. Yeah. Yeah, when you're riding, I'm gonna circle back to just because a lot of cyclists just go out and I want to hang with this group, I want to hang with that group. And I've always talked about, I don't pay attention to who's getting dropped or whatever. I always watch, like if a rider is trying to hang on, you guys have seen some of the older videos, I would push them up the little climb to kind of encourage them or whatever, because they're trying. But it's always better to know that, okay, I'm at the point where I'm no longer pedaling circles. We call it pedaling squares. So where your legs feel like you have no control over them, At that point, you're not really training. You're not teaching your body anything. You really have to back down because you've been in the red too long now to where you're no longer pedaling efficiently. And, you just look like you're helter-skelter. That's where they got the phrase pedaling squares. At that point, you're teaching yourself bad habits. So you got to either slow down below your threshold or right at your threshold. And that's where you want to stay. Even if it means letting the group go a little bit, if you stay right there, you can even peg people back because other people may fall off. You don't have to stop completely, but you're going to have to know when to back off and just kind of stay there so that you're still under control and you can recover. Because if you stay in the red too long, it takes longer to recover. Because you have to realize if you're riding with people who are more experienced and fitter, their red zone is higher than yours. So you're in the red, they're not even at threshold. Because they've paid their dues. They've done the base and they've done the train, they've raised their ceiling. Now, doesn't mean that your ceiling is infinitely raised. What it means is it takes more and more work to get you beyond there when you're fitter and stronger. So what ends up happening by the time they get in their red zone, because they're so fit, they can process the lactate that's being generated, because you generate lactate all the time. Your body just gets more efficient at processing it as you do more and more work. So they can get in the red zone and stay there longer and recover because they can process lactate better. Those are the adaptations we talk about. And if you have not done that kind of work, you can't expect to keep up with them. That's the thing, you know. So it's so you know what, like if you ask somebody, somebody came on the channel, wanted to know, I saw 170 something, is that your zone 4? He was asking me. I did not answer because it wasn't going to help him. You know, my zone 4 is my zone 4. Me telling you what my zone 4 is does nothing for you. You need to find out what your zone 4 is and how you can acclimate and spend more time there and what your threshold and all of that. So, you know, you need to focus on you. That's what I'm trying to get to. Somebody gets dropped that day, they may have a reason. They may be uncomfortable. They may be unacclimated to the weather conditions or whatever. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's a group ride. Even in a race. You saw the tour. Some of the guys who were struggling one stage, next day they win a stage. Or they win a stage and the next day they're struggling. Or they lose time out of the top 10. And they were in, you know, everybody, the body performs differently all the time. So you have to focus on you and understand what is going on with you. That's what training is about. Really, when I had a coach, what he would tell me is, I'm working with you. So at some point, you can become a better coach than I am for you. What he meant is, I have to learn what it takes to make my body tick. That's what coaching is about. All he did was give me guidance and suggestions so that I could understand what was going on with me. That's why you need coaching, to get you there quickly so you're not just riding around and hoping to get in shape. When you're coached, riders who are coached know exactly how to get into form. They know what kind of work it will take to be ready for an event. It's not that accidental anymore. And that's why coaching is important, you know, or whether you're doing a training plan or whatever, or having somebody to periodically review your stats and bounce things off of. That's what I use my coach for. To say, you know, okay, this is block of training I've done. This is what's going on with me. I kept notes and everything, and we would review that to know, okay, why am I so tired this week? You know, how do I make sure I'm not too tired? That's why if you watch the group rides, my fitness is fairly consistent. Because I know what it takes to be ready for a group ride on this day. I can back up and say, okay, I need to start resting here. Now back up, I need to work hard here. And then, okay, I got to go easy here. Then I got to rest. And so once you know what to do for you, then you've arrived. Because everybody's different. You can't just go online, find a training plan, and then you follow it without figuring what it does to you. You have to find out how many days you need to work to get the adaptation, and then how many days you need to recover to be ready to perform. That's very important. Sarunas, he says, very entertaining. You must like cycling then. He said, found your channel. Going to watch every single video for the start. I'm glad you mentioned that. Let me show you something. On this channel here, it will take you some time because we'll have a lot of videos. The best way to approach the Sarunas is to go to the channel page. I'm going to go there right here. I've done this once before, but I try to use this to let people know. The channel is organized like a library. So when you get to the channel page, you can see all these categories. These are basic where it says past live streams if you want to check those out. But where it really starts, other than the popular uploads and then members only, is right here. You see where it says cycling phase 1. It's organized. All the videos that are made are grouped into playlists. So when I load the videos, they're categorized. So getting a bike fit, the right equipment, maintain them, that's what this phase 1 is about. So within that phase 1, you have a bike fit overview, how to choose your cycling components. So that's the way you want to approach it. Oh, we got another subscriber, Matt. Welcome, Matt. But so you want to look at these phases and go through them however way you want to do them. Now, once it goes down to phase 2, it says safety, cycling tips. A lot of these live sessions will be in the cycling tips. Then we talk about cycling product reviews under the safety, cycling tips, cycling kit selection. So now you're beginning to see. So we're talking about kit selection, we got product reviews. Because it's important that you know how to size your kit and get the right kit. I think that's more important. Your bike fit, your kit is more important than fancy wheels. Because if you don't fit your bike, you're not going to ride very well. You're not going to be aero. And if your clothes don't fit you well, you will be catching a lot. Your body is the biggest drag. So that's more important than the wheels. And so then the third phase, it says learn how to fuel and build your engine. That's training, fitness, recovery, all of that. Then phase 4, we talk about riding in groups. So you can see now how it went through the 4 phases. You started out with your fit, your kit, you learned about cycling, then you got yourself in shape, then you went to start looking at group rides. That's the order you need to do things. You don't want to start out, just go to a group ride and your bike doesn't fit you. You will injure yourself probably trying to ride too hard on an ill-fitting bike. That's why I want to watch. So if you're going to watch through the videos, you might want to just look at it in terms of where you need to be. You may not need to start at the very beginning, but at least you'll know where to jump in because there's a lot of information out there. The members only videos are videos that cover detail how to fit yourself and details on training and different things that are for the channel members. That's what those videos are. So it's good that you found the channel. Daniel Vargas, I have an aluminum bike with stock wheels. Thinking on upgrading. Any thoughts on aluminum versus entry carbon? Any brand recommendation? Don't need top of the line, just some better than stock. It's kind of, they're all pretty good. I mean, like I always say, you just need to make sure if you know your size. I don't think it matters. You just need to look at what you want to spend. You have an aluminum bike with stock wheels, but you want to upgrade to another aluminum. So I don't understand why you go from aluminum. What's wrong with your current bike? Maybe is it just entry level or, because really not knowing enough about you, what I would say, okay, the first thing is your current bike, you could just put better wheels on there because you said you got stock wheels. If the frame is okay, you will feel the difference in wheels right away. I'm going to assume that it fits you. I'm going to assume you got good kit, you got a good position on the bike. First thing I would do is change the wheels because even if you bought another bike, you could use those wheels on there. Because you really want to get your investment in the frame versus having those pre-packaged bikes that they have with fancy wheels that just jack up the price too much and you can get your own wheels. So I would say the first thing are wheels. Now, I would definitely look at, but you said versus entry carbon, thoughts on aluminum. The entry level carbon bikes, they're okay, but they're not the lightest or, the most responsive. It's going to vary. It really comes down to what you want to spend. Focus more on the budget. Now, what I do recommend to people is that I would buy a used carbon bike, depending on who you're getting it from, because you can get good deals on them versus a new. Since you're thinking about entry, I don't know if you want to go with entry level carbon per se, because it may not handle as well as your aluminum bike. Because they make some nice aluminum bikes. I don't know which one you have. So focus more on your price range and see what falls within your budget, because that's going to affect the quality of the bike. That's consistent whether you're looking at aluminum or carbon. The pricing give you the ranges and the kind of materials they're using. The top of the line carbon stuff, they're very expensive because they're using the most innovative stuff, as far as how they put the carbon together. But I don't really want to give you brand names per se because it's going to vary based on how it fits you. Because some manufacturers carry better angles than the others. I'm going to assume that you know which seat angle you need. You've got to make sure you can fit the frame before you buy it. I don't know if you've had a bike sizing done, but that's something you might want to consider. The bike sizing is critical so that you can know what seat angle and top tube length you need when you go to buy the frame. It depends on how well your current frame fits you. You can use that as a model to start with. That's kind of what we usually do when we do bike sizing. Okay, what do you have right now? How does it feel? Let's see how you look on it. It's tough. You're not going to buy a bike every day, so you really want to think about if this bike fits you pretty well, upgrade the wheels first. See how that rides, because you're going to buy wheels anyway. Get the wheels first. See how it works, and then see if you really want to change the frame. Don't focus more on components because you don't really feel that upgrade. You feel wheels.
Red Dragon to the Olympic Road Races Mountain. It will be a ride of about 180 to 190 heart rate. Sarunas. Oh, Sarunas says he's not used to people saying his name correctly. Your name is easy, the first one anyway, because phonetically it's easy. I mean, that's easy. The second one is hard because you've got those consonants together. I don't know if it's Gardijucus. It's kind of hard because you got the D and a Z. So I would say Gardijucus or Juscus. It's hard to say, but the first one's easy. You're welcome, Daniel. But Daniel, the main thing is take the path of least resistance. If the frame fits you fairly well, if you've never had a bike fit, then I would say don't buy a frame right now, get wheels, and then try to get a fit. Because getting a fit will let you know whether your frame is workable. And if it's not workable, the fitter should give you dimensions so you know what to shop for. Very important to get a frame that will fit you. That's more important. Even if the frame is free, if it doesn't fit you, that's like getting a free pair of shoes that's 2 sizes too small. You can't do anything with it. So Marina said, I bought my bike like 6 years ago and only later I realized you need a fit first. Just to avoid an outlay of money unnecessarily and being stuck with a frame that might be too big, we've been there, or too small for you. It's kind of like going to buy shoes, right? Once you get to the shop, they measure your foot. Well, if you go to a bike shop, a lot of times they try to sell you what they have. So a rider can fit a bike maybe 2 centimeters within ranges in either direction. They may just put you on something to get that sale. So you want to go there armed with what you need if you're going to buy a local. And if you're not, you do have to know what you need to order online. Because that stuff that they put out there, some of them want your height and all this stuff. Then they give you medium, large, and all that foolishness. No, I want to know what the seat angle is so I know I can get that saddle back far enough without jamming the rails if the seat angle is too aggressive in my size. And a lot of times, all these bikes have 73.5, 74 degree seat tubes. If you're a tall guy, you got to be careful because I can ride a 56, but most of the 56s they make, they're barely able for me to get my saddle back because they're like 73.5, and especially in the more expensive bikes. So for that kind of money, I get a custom bike made for less that will fit me like a glove, and I can use a straight seat post and center my saddle, So yeah, it's a science. You do have to get a fit, know what you need before you get dialed in. A lot of the very experienced riders, especially the ones you see with their stems, what they call slam, meaning there are no spacers underneath, we already know what angle our head tube's supposed to be, what height, so we know. So we don't have to put spacers in there. We know before we get the frame. And so we just get a stem and put it on there because the head tube is perfect for what we need, And that you get through a fit. You go to a fit studio, not a bike shop fit. That stuff, they'll take your money and, put some electrodes on you or something. Those guys are not fitters. They just work in a bike shop, unless they're affiliated with a bike fitter that has a studio in there. So you got to do your research if you want to do it locally. Daniel said, I got a fit. But I need to get a new one as I don't think it's accurate. As I still have a minor issue with my left shoulder pain. Yeah. I don't want to buy a carbon bike just yet. I'm just thinking of wheel upgrade. Yes, good. Upgrade the wheel. I don't like to push my services because I'm very busy. And if you're not local, unless you're handy, the remote fit that we do will not work for you. But be very particular in selecting the fitter because, it's only as good as the fitter you get. And they should have addressed that in the studio during the fit to take your weight off. Your shoulder is hurting because you got weight on it somewhere. You're not balanced on that saddle. So it starts with going back and revisiting the fit to get you balanced to where you should be able to ride without any weight on the bars. I think you've got weight somewhere. It could be you're trying to offload a foot or something that's not comfortable. There's so many things that can cause those, or the stem might be a little long, Yeah, there's something up with the fit. If you're having shoulder pain, you should not have any pains. You do not have any pains. Do your research. I made a video about how to find a fitter and the kind of questions to ask. And if you can't find anybody and you're handy, then you can use our remote fit and we can do it online. And I'll walk you through what to do and what to adjust. A few people take advantage of that from time to time. But that would be something, you definitely want to be comfortable on the bike. Yes, upgrade the wheels. That's money well spent, and it doesn't go bad. You can move it to another frame in the future. And that could be the wheels that you would use for your weekend rides or whatever. So, that's a good place to start. Saruna says, I guess the local bike shop guy saw I was a big guy and got me a big frame. Yeah, but, not every big guy will ride the same big frame. I mean, for example, you can have somebody 6 foot and another guy 6 foot. And one guy might use a shorter frame, but need a longer top tube. They don't make them like that anymore to really get dialed in. And if you're going to be investing in the frame, then, sometimes it's just get one built for you. It doesn't cost more than the stuff they sell off the shop. They're actually less expensive. Just because you're a big guy does not mean you need a very long top tube. Some big guys have all their height in their legs, and then the torso and arms are not that long. So then if you gave that frame to a big guy who is very long up here and the top tube wasn't very long, he'd need this long stem to stretch himself out. So, that's why when people ask your height, you got to be suspicious. I don't ask people what their height is. I'm not interested in your height. I want to know your reach. The 3 points of contact, where you sit and how you grab the bars and your feet. I don't care how tall you are. Your head is not connected to anything. So if you stand up and I measure to your head, what am I going to do with that? So let's see here. Robert Tangler, I'm curious, do you do recumbent fit? Yeah, I do that. The recumbent fit can be limited. I mean, it depends on how much room you have to move that seat. Yeah, so what I do for recumbents is focus on the cleat position on the shoe and the angle of the knee. So you're sitting and leaning back, but the leg, we got to make sure that knee is not overextended or underextended, so you don't put load on it. So yeah. Daniel Vargas, you just clarified to go to a bike studio versus bike shop, and I went to the bike shop, so I looked into a studio. Yeah, you need a bike fit studio. Find one. Find a fitter, somebody who just does bike fit, and do some research, read some of the reviews. Because just because they have a bike studio does not mean that this is somebody who will ask you the right questions or communicate to you what they're doing. Some fitters just fit you and kick you out the door and you don't know what happened. You need to understand what's going on so that you can understand the impact when you buy a different shoe or something. They need to explain what's going on because you're going to own that fit once you leave. And you need to be comfortable in that studio. Don't let them tell you you're going to ride into it. There is no such thing. If you're not comfortable on that trainer that day, you're not going to ride into anything. You would just be even more uncomfortable. You should leave the studio being eager to go ride your bike. That's how you know you've got a good fit. And they should check your balance. You should be able to put your hands behind you while you're pedaling and not tip forward. So. Yeah, sometimes it's tough to find a good quality fitter. I mean, I went through the same thing many years. That's how I got into bike fit when I used to race. They had the fit kit. I spent money on that nonsense. Everything was wrong. Everything felt terrible. I just put it back the way I had it and then learned how to do fit instead of fitting my teammates. because they sold the shop the fit kit. And they had these two little pencils that they put on the little block you step on the pedal, and when the pencils lined up, they said, that's your cleat position. So yeah, it's then don't fall for this so-called red tool fit where they put electrodes on you. I get a lot of former red tool customers coming down here for me to fix their fit because the electrodes don't tell you anything. The person sitting on the bike is the person that should say yes. You should be able to look at a rider and say, you look comfortable now. How does that feel? And that comes from experience. I don't care what tool you're using. Somebody working on your car, it doesn't matter if they're using Snap-on tools or Craftsman. If he's a crappy mechanic, he's going to mess up your car. It doesn't matter how nice the tools are. So don't fall for that. Do your research. There's a video I put on here. I called it, let's see. I think I can search the channel. Let's go to, I want to find out how to find a bike fitter. I made one. Let's see, let me go. Let's go to content. I don't remember the name, but people had asked, these questions have been asked before. And so whenever it got to the point where there was enough interest, then I'd made a video about it. How to find a bike fitter, I think. Let's see. Let me just do bike fitter. Yep, here we go. How to choose a bike fitter. Let me copy this. And put it, let's see here. I think I kept this. Here we go. Let's put it here. Here's a video you need to review. It will help you when you're searching for a bike fitter. That will help you tremendously in selecting a bike fitter in your area. Because if they can't give you the cues that I mentioned in that video, then you should beware. Because you kind of want somebody who makes you feel comfortable and who solicits questions from you. Chris Bates, what do you think of the COPS method for ascertaining saddle position? Yeah, knee over pedal axle. let me find that video. That's a myth, Chris. Let me find. I don't know. I think that might be a members only. The COPS method does not work for everyone because, for one thing, we're all different. So for me, for example, if I drop a plumb bob from the front of my knee, I think that's what you're talking about. The COPS method said knee over pedal axle, meaning the plumb bob should bisect the pedal axle. That's at 9 and 3 o'clock on the bike, holding your feet steady. Well, for me, I'm about a centimeter behind the pedal axle. That's just where it is. That's where my cleat on the widest part of my foot. So the knee over COPS, the COPS method, knee over pedal axle does not work for everyone because we're all different. We all sit differently on the saddle. We all have different kinds of saddles. So if you try to position your saddle based on where your knee will be, what will happen is, depending on the brand of saddle you have, you may sit on a spot on the saddle that's not comfortable. So what I do when I fit people is I set the cleat independently under the widest part of their foot, because one guy may have an 11-inch foot, the next guy may be 12 or 9 or 10 or whatever. All that's important is that the cleat be placed under the widest part of your foot, which is behind the bone on the right side of your toe behind there. If it's under the widest part of your foot, you will be comfortable. And then that shoe needs to fit your foot to where you're not sliding around, meaning the last of the shoe mates with your foot. Don't buy a shoe that has a high arch if you don't have a high arch, because you will not be comfortable. You will have hot spots. So that notwithstanding, if the shoe's perfect and everything, you place the cleats first. Then you sit on the saddle and find where you want that saddle to be under you. Fore-aft adjustment. That makes more sense because now your foot is comfortable and your rear is comfortable. That gives you the balance that Daniel's looking for. Because once you're balanced, then everything else is easy. We can put the bars where they need to be, to where you have no weight on the bars. There should be no weight on the bars. If you guys watch the videos when I'm riding, my hands are like this on the bars, and you can just see my fingers drape the hoods. You shouldn't have any weight on the bars. In fact, if you have weight on your bars, it's hard to steer because you're twitchy. So that's one of the reasons why novice riders, they call them squirrels, because they're not fitted and they're not experienced. So they don't know why they're twitchy, but they're twitchy because they're not fitted to their bike. They have all the weight on the front end. You know, just like when you drive your car, you don't have weight on the steering wheel. You just kind of cradle it and you go. It's aligned. So yeah, I don't do cops, and many fitters in the know don't do cops because it doesn't work for everybody. If after setting the cleat, like I explained, and you set the saddle fore-aft based on where you feel it needs to be under you for that particular saddle, you happen to bisect, that's just luck and chance. That's all it is. Back in the day, there was another old wives' tale where it said, your stem is right when you drop a plumb bob from your nose and it falls 2 centimeters behind the bars. I don't know if you all ever remember that. Bicycling Magazine used to publish that in the late 80s and so forth. You know, early 90s. That was another myth to setting your stem. I mean, they've cycled through all these things because people were still learning. And now people know better. It's much better to go ahead and just place the touch points at a point in space where your body wants it to be. That's more important. That's why I was talking earlier about if you want to buy a frame, make sure you've got a seat tube that is shallow enough if you're a big guy so you can get that saddle back where it needs to be for you to sit. It's kind of like working with a long wrench. You got to back up. Well, we got long levers. If you're over 5'10", you got to back up. So, you know, all these bikes they're making now, everything's 73.5, seat tube 74. That's crazy. Then when you get to like the 60, then they got a 73 maybe, when it should be like 72. So you can center that rail. That's why everybody's got an offset on their seat posts to accommodate all these corners that the manufacturers are cutting, because they used to make more sizes back in the day than they do now when they make these frames. And as much as they're charging, you think they would accommodate people's dimensions. So I don't buy off the shelf. I'm very particular because it's hard to get them to fit me. If you're going to spend good money, it needs to fit you. So yeah. Yeah, Daniel, you're welcome. Daniel says, thanks for the advice. Yeah, you're welcome, Daniel. Just invest some time. It'll take some time. You don't buy frames every day. Invest a little bit of time. It'll get there. It takes a while to dial in yourself, to dial in your fit. Some riders try to do it themselves and they spend decades doing it and they're still fiddling with it. You know, so it's just better to get somebody to help you get there quickly. Preferably someone who can explain so you can understand how you got there. Because if you don't understand it, then it doesn't help you. You need to understand what changes you make and how they impact your fit. So, yeah. All right. So we're going to wrap up. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. All the new subscribers, welcome to the channel. I hope that you guys have a fabulous time. Those of you overseas, it's probably later. Let's see, it's probably late at night. So you're going to be getting ready for a ride tomorrow. Those of you in Asia, it's probably already Saturday there. Let's see here. Chris wants to know, is it okay to set the saddle all the way back on the saddle rail? I can only get balance in this way. I have an offset stem, but still need to push the saddle almost. I'm not sure what you mean by offset stem. You mean an offset seat post. I think you miswrote. Yeah. You've just confirmed what I explained, Chris. Because if you have an offset seat post, which makes sense, because every bike now that's being sold pretty much recommends an offset seat post, because these guys are making fewer sizes, like I said. The only risk with putting it all the way back is that bend in the front, it's not the strongest part of it, where the bend begins when you get to the nose. You got to be careful there. They can break when you push it all the way there. Some saddle manufacturers will actually they'll put a mark about a centimeter before you get to the bend, and they tell you don't pass the mark because they don't want that breaking on you. Because that's like a weak point. You know how when you bend metal, that's a weak part there now because they've bent it. So they don't want you jamming the thing all the way. And that's what I would talk about. So whatever frame you have, try and see if you know what angle the seat tube is, Chris, or maybe use an angle finder. Sometimes they'll tell you if you've got the paperwork. But that way you'll know not to get that frame in the future, get something shallower. That's just for your benefit. But yeah, it sounds like you're kind of on the limit and your legs are telling you, you got this wrench, it wants you to back up to be comfortable. I sit way back. I sit 11 centimeters behind my bottom bracket. If you drop a plumb bob from my saddle to the bottom bracket and you measure where the nose of my saddle is, it's 11 centimeters. That's more than 4 inches. Because 4 inches is about 10 centimeters. So what? Let's see. Another centimeter. So maybe 4.5 inches or so. So I sit behind my bottom bracket a good way. But because I have bikes with the proper offset, seat post, I'm not at the nose of my rails. The only bike that's close is the Colnago that I have, because I bought that off the shelf for nostalgic reasons, but it's a 72.75. Anything beyond 73 in the seat angle, I can't ride. So it's right on the limit, and I got like a 3.2 centimeter offset seat post. And I still have about 1.5 centimeters before the bend. And that's because I'm using Cell SMP saddles, which has longer rails. So if your saddle does not have like 100 millimeter rail or something like that, maybe try the SMP saddle. It might give you the extra rearward without jamming near that thing that you need. And so we've had to accommodate these shortcomings in the manufacturers giving us fewer sizes, because I ride a 56 and most 56s are like 73.5. I can't ride them. I wouldn't even be able to do what you're doing, Chris. I wouldn't be able to get that saddle anywhere, even with an offset seat post. So yes, it's okay. But it's going to put a lot of pressure on that saddle, and it might break over time because, you're sitting on it and you're sitting on like one of the weakest points. It's the same thing if you have to shove it all the way forward because you bought a frame that is too relaxed for you. Like if you're a guy that has short femurs and then you happen to get a frame that is a 72 and you needed a 73.5 or something like that. It's the opposite. So out of direction, you don't want to be near those. You want to have about 1 centimeter away from that so you're on the rails. Ideally, you want to be in the center of the rails if you can. That's the reason we go through these when people are buying, when they do bike sizing. So I try to make sure, okay, you get a bike like this because for each degree, you get a certain number of movement, And so the custom bikes, you can really dial them in. But yeah, that's why you're doing it. It will work. Just keep your eye on that saddle and maybe measure the rail. And if it's shorter than 100 or 10 centimeters, then maybe try a different brand of saddle. The SMP, they have like 10 centimeters of rail for you to use. It's one of the longest ones out there. And another thing I like about SMP is when you adjust the forward and aft of the saddle, the height doesn't change. That's not true for other saddles. So there's a lot, it's a science, but definitely worth the time for you to be comfortable. I can't tell you how many people on every ride, I look at them and I just see them all over their bikes. They look like they're rolling or they're sitting on something hot. You know what I mean? They're looking for a spot to be comfortable. They're not comfortable. And your comfort comes from not just where you sit, but also your feet. If your feet are not comfortable, your hands will go numb because you'll be trying to offload your foot. You'll be putting pressure on the bars to offload that foot. And then you're not riding when you're doing all of that. Yeah, I got you, Chris. I see. But yeah, Rico Rivas. Let's see. So Chris says physique Arione. Okay. The Arione is a good saddle. I used that before. I was able to get comfortable on that. Okay, that's why. 73.5. What is your inseam, Chris? If you know, right offhand. Or, maybe just your height. But height doesn't give me everything. It's really your legs. If your inseam is above 80 centimeters, because mine's 87. My inseam is 87. And I need a 73 or less. That frame is too aggressive for you, Chris. 73.5 for short people, for shorter guys with shorter femurs. They don't have to be, if the upper body's tall, but the femur. Yeah, 73.5. That's the problem with a lot of these bikes. 73.5 is very common now. That's, so you it's further forward than you need it to be. And so you're trying to accommodate that. 73 would have been your limit probably. So yeah, that's what you're dealing with. You're 6'1". Okay. You're just about an inch shorter than me. 33 inches. Yeah. Yeah, that frame is too aggressive for you. The seat tube is too far forward. It needs to be a little shallower. Our champion Greg LeMond had the same problem. He could not ride a bike that exceeded 73 degrees on the seat tube. It had to be shallower. In his book that he wrote, that was one of the things that his pet peeve. That was the reason he joined the Laviclet team, even though he was offered more money other places. He wanted to be under that coach, the guy who came up with the formula, Paul Coakley, his coach. That's the reason he joined, because the guy was noted for really being serious about fit. When Greg joined that team, they raised his saddle like almost 3 inches. he had been riding a saddle that was too low and winning races. He said the first thing everybody was complaining in the U.S., they're going to do that, they're going to do that, all those people who were in the know. He said the first ride, he said the coach told him to do it over the winter, raise it up slowly. He said he just jacked it up there right away to try. And he said the first thing he noticed, the aching in his back disappeared. So he'd been riding in discomfort all that time, winning races in Belgium and other places as an amateur. And he said the pain in his back disappeared, and all of a sudden he relaxed his shoulders and everything. So he'd been sitting too low. So he went up and then like that. And he said everything just felt easier. So fit is critical, even for the top guys. When they go to these teams, they check them. Some of them, the more I guess, wealthy teams, they will even rent time in wind tunnels and put those riders through that, because when you're comfortable, man, you can just ride forever. It's just everything just firing. You should have no discomfort. You come home, there should be no pain in your knee or anything. So yeah, 73.5 is steep. I don't know how much of a setback that seat posts have. The most I've seen is 3.2 centimeters. That's what I have on the Colnago. That's a FSA, an FSA carbon seat post. So maybe you can see if they got something with more setback. It ends up looking funky the more setback you get. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, 73.5 at your height. 6'1". I'm 6'2". So yeah, anything 5'10" or more. I mean, it's not just the height. It's really your femur. The reason you just started moving it back, it started feeling better when you moved that saddle back, and you realize, man, yes, because that's how I sit on my bike. people always say, man, you sit way back. I sit where I need to be for my legs to do the work. You know, that's the way it is. I've always sat like that. So when I raced, a lot of the frames we'd get, it was Pinarello and all these steel frames, they would be 73. And I would have the saddle way back, you know, for it to be comfortable. I used to ride the flight saddle, and it was very comfortable. But I could still tell that, man, it would be nice if the angle was shallower so I could move the saddle a little more forward, because that flight saddle, after a while, it would move. It wasn't very sturdy like the S&P is. And so, yeah, I didn't like it being way back. It wasn't quite all the way to the rails, but it was close. But that's what it took to be in the spot it needed to be for me to ride. That's exactly what you're going through, but you don't want to be on the bend. If it gets to that bend, that it will fatigue. And I'm assuming that you don't have one of the fancy carbon saddles. They'll break even quicker. But if you have like chromoly, it will last for a while, but it will still fatigue. So yeah, that's the thing. This is Robin. I will check out. I'm going to check it out. I'll see if I can find something on the Olympics road cycling. I don't know about today. I don't know what's going on with it. Let's see. Let's find out what's going on. Road cycling Olympics 2021. Today at 9 p.m. Okay. So they're going to have it tonight. It looks like it's going to be on MSNBC. So we have that. Yep. So tonight. Okay, I'll watch it. I'll watch it and do something. We'll see. I'll check it out. Men's road race final is today at 9 p.m. So that means it's tomorrow there, which makes sense because it's Saturday. Yeah. Yep, we'll check it out. All right, Robin, I will try to put something together. Weight and skill. Why does my bike groan when I hit 26 miles per hour but feels smooth at 21? You sure it's your bike groaning, not your knees? I don't know. Maybe you got some wheel bearing issues or some mechanical issue. Yeah. Yeah, I see it, Robin. It's coming on at 9 p.m., so that's 2 hours from now. I will check it out. And see, I don't know. I can't use their footage because they complain about it on YouTube. So we might do snapshots or something. Maybe I'll do something for tomorrow. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. You guys, thanks for joining. Until we do this again next week, Friday, you guys be safe and get your K's in. Don't let anything stop you.